You either die the hero or see yourself become the villain. Seen too many dark nights and like the way you're living. It got me livid, the plot is vivid in the blast conditions. It's like you hopeless at the bar, get a shot to giving. Neighbors not complicit, I can't blame them though. Remember as a youngin', I rep Detroit on my favorite coat. For around the hood, the kind that was only made for snow. Mans caught me slipping, he tripping over a radio. I was running track with the homies, I didn't know what to say because I thought he was joking. Behind his back he held a gauge, he decided to show me in the midst of broad day, all out in the open. I was only 13, but it's relevant to today. Put a price on life, but negligent in their ways. Forget a slippery slope, it's a precipice that you face. And the president set the precedent, evident by your faith. For that cream, living in that fairy tale American dream. Kill it when you walking with a gangster lean. Even though you know they go they all, it seems. What you mean, what you doing for that cream? Living in that fairy tale American dream. Kill it when you walking with that gangster lean. We in between those kings and queens. In the city of schemes.
In the city they scheme.
I can still remember Kwame, only thing that he taught me. City government's busted, causing a kamikaze. Crime waves like tsunamis, they say they serving that white. Chopping bricks like karate. What's the prices for your vices? The sacrifices that you lie with every night. And soldier sold to that rock, you Jimi Hendrix when your life ends. If you ask me, man, I couldn't do it. Unity and community barely move as a unit. Unless you talking in decimals, everybody will tune in. I never moved to that music, you never see me approve it. So sorry if I'm not to that standard, I'm goody two shoes. Pay expenses at someone's expense. Some families fiends, so how are they making they rent? Placing a bet for the rush of some luck, but it was something more like Russian roulette, and it got me upset. Living in that fairy tale American dream. Kill it when you walking with that gangster lean. Even though you know they go they all, it seems. What you mean, what you doing for that cream? Living in that fairy tale American dream. Kill it when you walking with that gangster lean. We in between those kings and queens in the city of schemes.
In the city they scheme.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the El Niño podcast. I'm Eladio Niño, and this is Real Everyday People. Appreciate everybody that been showing love, showing support, sharing, subscribing. Thank you. I appreciate you. You know, that's the kind of love and support that I need so I can keep it going. You know what I'm saying? So this past weekend, I had a really good weekend. Went to the Tigers game with the family. Of course, they won the game, so, that made it that much better. But, it's always a good time spending quality time with the family, man. But, everything's been good. A lot of positive things, good opportunities coming along my way. A couple events we got coming up. We got an expungement fair October 15th from 11 to 3 o'clock. Take advantage of the opportunity. Come through at 1211 Trumbull at the DHDC and see what you got, man. You got some felonies. You got some misdemeanors you want to get rid of, man. We gonna help you out, take care of that. And then we got another event coming up, but we're going to talk about it later. But it's October 23rd. We got a barber battle coming up at the DHDC. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up, man. So just stay tuned. But, today we ain't here to talk about all that. We here to talk about with my man, Dave McCullough, special guest. What's up with you, brother?
What up, though?
My man. So, I've had the privilege of befriending Dave through the DHDC. I swear, man, I met so many people and built so many bridges through the DHDC, man. They have created so much opportunity for me, man, and I'm so blessed. And to be sitting here with you, bro, it's just knowing you has been an experience in itself, bro. I've grown a lot. I've learned a lot, and, I admire you, and I can't wait for the people to get to hear from you and get to know you a little bit better and know who you are and what you about, man, because you are a brilliant brother, man. You got a lot of knowledge, man, to share with these people.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. So tell them a little bit about who you are, where you from, what it is, and what it ain't.
Well, ask me something, man. Ask me something specific. Where I'm from Detroit. I'm from
what
8
part
Mile.
of Detroit?
8
okay.
Mile, East 8 Mile, down by between Ryan and Mound. Born and raised, went to Detroit schools.
What kind of student were you? Did you play sports?
I was not a good student. I tell you that. I had this conversation with my mom often. Like I told her today. I said high school, specifically high school. Man, I don't even know how I made it through. I just barely did enough to make it through.
Did you graduate?
Yeah.
Okay, where'd you graduate from?
St. Martin de Porres.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you, man. And speaking of your mother, man, your mother is a wonderful woman, man. You
I
know?
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. She's very kind, and she was monitoring me. She was like, "Boy, you must be tired because you over there snoring like a mug." And we're gonna talk a little bit about that too, you know. But I was like, "Oh man, she's so cool, man."
Yeah. So born and raised Detroit, family from Detroit. I mean,
Did you grow up with both your parents?
absolutely. Both my
Okay.
parents in the household.
Did you have any siblings?
Sister. I have a
Okay.
sister, older sister. Same thing. Detroit schools, Cass Tech, graduate. Now she lives in Raleigh, North Carolina. Author of a couple books.
Wow. Okay. Have
but
you wrote a book yet?
we're in the process. We've been
I
in the
know you
process for
are.
a couple years, and I'm glad that I've taken more time on that process to allow my journey to unfold a little more.
Okay.
To so that it can add more value to when it comes out for people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, my childhood, I had a really good childhood. A lot of people can't really say that, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to say that. But the thing is, during that time in the 80s, like around me, everybody was kind of having pretty decent childhoods for the most part. It wasn't too much madness going on, even though when you hear the word Detroit, people just thought like there was just drive-bys on
capital,
every street or
violence,
something like
drugs.
that. Like, no. I grew up in, and I wouldn't even say it was, I guess you can say it was middle class, but middle class back then meant, you had a brick home, and maybe we had 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, just normal stuff.
What kind of work was your mother and father into? How were they able to
my
provide?
my mom worked for Detroit Edison,
Okay.
the light company, and then my dad worked for a GM.
So you had 2 working parents who
Yep.
worked for 2 good companies.
Yep.
And they were able to provide, a pretty good life for you, man.
Safety.
Mm-hmm.
Safety is what it's about.
Okay.
And the life that they provided for me, because the thing is, a lot of people think a good life means that you were given everything, and that ruins you. There's still a certain level of uncertainty that you need growing up. You need uncertainty and you need certainty. That's where the safety comes in. So you do need a certain level of safety, but you need a certain level of unsafety.
So with the uncertainty, is that to build security?
The uncertainty is to build resiliency.
Okay.
When I mean uncertainty, I don't mean that I don't know if I'm gonna get shot walking around the block. Right.
Okay.
That's
Because that's the uncertainty I grew up
No,
with.
there's extremes.
Okay.
There's extremes. That's an extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have that extreme, there's a certain level of protection, that internal protection that you have to live at. A certain level of survival. So if the environment is too hard, then that's not good either. So if you have too hard or too soft, can produce, a specific outcome. And you want a mixture of both, but you want that hardness to come from hard task, not lack of safety. Somebody trying to kill me, somebody shoot me, somebody trying to rob me. That's primal stuff. That's about, again, danger, real danger. So I didn't. Now, if you go a couple streets up in my neighborhood now, you know what I'm saying?
Like be in some real danger.
You may be in some real danger. My mom and dad, they grew up.
So did you stay away from them blocks?
Yeah,
Or-
we didn't go around there, because on my street, on my streets that we grew up on, we stayed there.
So you were smart enough to stay away from it, where a lot of people, they gravitate towards it, even if they know it's dangerous over there. What is it that you think that people like, that they love to engage in the mud, in the trenches? You know what I'm saying? That
because that's what's happening in their house, in their homes.
okay.
So they, there's something unsettled there, so they go searching for something. My home was settled, so I knew what to expect every time I came home from school. And a lot of people don't get to live that way.
That's a blessing, bro.
So when
for
you
real.
don't get to live that way, right? When you don't get to live with that level of certainty coming home, and you need it in at least one place, because this is what happens. Typically, we're only in two places when we grow up. Where are we at? Home or school?
Yep.
If you got uncertainty at home and uncertainty at school, there's a huge issue, right? Because you don't have any place to regulate and go home and to relax from what you just were involved in, right? And oftentimes that's why school will end up being a safe haven for the kids, is because home is crazy, right? Home is out of balance. I think the DHDC is a safe place for a lot of kids, because maybe home may not be as safe. And then too, when we talk about safety in home, again, we're not talking about danger. Maybe, somebody's trying to kill you in your home. We're talking about the emotional safety at that point. So there's degrees to it all.
Because you do have a lot of kids who come from homes where there's multiple children. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes 3 to 5 kids is plenty in one house, and you really don't get no rest. No matter where you're at on the totem pole, whether you're the youngest or the oldest, there's some type of, strife, you know what I'm saying, that you're dealing with. And then not only that, but the environment, a lot of parents, like your parents, who worked a lot. Sometimes they have to sacrifice the privilege of raising their own kids just to provide for them. So then the kids are seeking guidance from streets, music, TV, neighbors, you know what I'm saying, somewhere else. And then they get misguided. Not so much that it's the parents' fault, because, it's like you're choosing the lesser of two evils. It's like, you're just wanting to do your best, but you're making sacrifices as well, because now somebody else has to influence your kids.
Yeah.
And, I was always taught that if you don't know what to do with your life, somebody else will, and then you become a part of somebody else's plan.
So then that still comes down to the parents. Even in a single parent household, you got to know what you're going to do with your life and what you're doing with your kid's life. If you don't have that vision, then like you said, somebody else going to have the vision for you.
And we grew up in an era where our parents was like, don't do as I do as I say. And we weren't allowed to talk back and ask questions. Like today's generations, they ask all kinds of questions.
Right.
They need answers. They ain't having it. They need an explanation.
Yeah. And honestly,
and it's good.
Partially good. I think it's partially good. I think there's an oversharing that can take place where
I agree.
You're a child. That's not something that you need to know. Certain things you don't need to know at a certain age, because your mind is still developing, and you don't want to take away that innocence and then again throw them in lack of safety early on. So I've just seen so many historical changes, through this generation wanting to know the truth of things. Is that what they want to know? Do they want to know the truth of things? I don't think they want to know the truth of things.
I mean, I believe they do. Like, why? I mean, for instance, when we were going through all that, just rioting and protesting, and they were pulling statues down and just replacing names and places and things that reflected, a history of, slavery and justice, all them types of things.
A lot of that stuff is just projection. People are just going out and projecting their internal pain, and that's it. So you tore the statues down, but you still don't sleep at night. So what? So what did you do?
Yeah,
you just projected that outwardly, But there was no internal shift. There was no internal change. I'm all for you having freedom of speech and going to move and assimilate and march and do those things. But I'm like this: what's the outcome? What happened after you did that? What is the results? What is the quantitative outcome? Where's the data that you're doing this? Did this. But if you went and did that, but you still are mentally, emotionally in anguish, then you just went to try to do something external to take care of something internal, and it don't last long. Thus I'm all about doing the internal work. Like if you're gonna be mad about something, go change the internal suffering that you're dealing with. Go get to the root. Not it's the statues, and I'm not saying that they don't need to be taken down. But really, is that what's blocking you from moving forward in your life? So
I don't know. I guess for people, it's living purposeful because they're standing up against something that's greater than them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think it's honorable to, I used to know people who would fight for me before they would fight for themselves. And, a lot of these people may be people like that who may not even stand up for their own rights, but will stand up for the rights of others, And for a long time, I heard a lot of people bashing white people, that it's a white system and it's white this and everything's whitewashed. But I was in prison and I'm watching TV and I'm watching all this protesting, and I'm like, there's more white people out here protesting for black rights and, you know what I'm saying, and everything. So I'm like, you can't put a color on advocacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a white mentor when I was in my early 20s. I lived with a white family for about 3-4 months, which was eye-opening for me. And seeing how the dynamics in that family. But I also lived with another black family for like 3 or 4 months and saw the dynamics of that. Another healthy version of that too. So
it reminds me of that show. Remember that show when they swap wives?
Yeah, wife swap.
And they would go live in each other's houses.
Yeah. So when I was 21, I moved to South Florida and I lived there for about 6 years. And my first year, I was bouncing around, man. So I lived with a pastor who had a family. Then I went and moved in with the bishop who had a family, and they became my family, and I was being mentored by them. So that's one of those things. I know we kind of like talking about family and growing up and things of that nature. One thing that having my parents in my life did for me is that afterwards I still sought out more parents. I still sought out for people to parent me as I moved on, because when I'm 19, 20, I don't, even though I'm considered pretty bright at that time, 19, 20, I still don't know anything, and I need guidance. I need to see other men move in a manly way, but in a way that has emotional intelligence in there too. That's a part of my journey is being with these people who are men who have standards, who have character, and that's what helped me kind of like early on.
And that's crazy because, I looked for guidance in male figures. So I looked up to uncles, older cousins, but it wasn't to seek those types of things. It was seeking a way to be a provider, seeking a way to be strong, seeking a way to be brave. You know what I'm saying? I had learned about, trust and integrity and, all that stuff later on in life. But I just, being raised by a single mother, I'm the firstborn of 3 sons raised by a single mom. And, I was just looking for, a male figure to look up to that could give me an idea of what I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's a different, when you grow up and you don't have that consistent, like for me, like I couldn't even imagine not having my dad as someone, because we think that we learn through somebody bringing out a board and you start writing on the board and that's how you learn. Yeah, that's not how you learn. You learn through mirroring. We mirror each other. I'm mirroring your actions, I'm mirroring your energy, and so I was able to have someone that I was able to mirror, a strong male figure. And I'm talking about a strong black male figure. My dad is like, my dad woke. He's been like that. Like some of the stuff, somebody like, I've been sitting here talking to your dad. My dad's sitting there blowing people's minds. And I'm just like, yeah, that's what I grew up with, seeing that.
I can tell when I had conversations with you, you be blowing my mind. I'd be like, man.
Like he got final call papers. I don't know if you know final call.
The final call.
Nation of Islam.
The fruits,
I mean, he's and it wasn't just him. Like even my friend who I grew up with, his dad had they were young black men trying to find their way, and they needed strong. So Farrakhan and those type of figures was the figures to, look up to and understand. Like what people think about that system, the Nation of Islam, They can think whatever they want to think about it, but that is a system that cleans people up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear stuff bad about the Nation of Islam.
You're right. You're right.
Because
And
they're
any
a
brother
they're
that
a
I
tight
know
knit system. It
is-
don't. They got stuff in there. Trust me. Every
we all
organization
do.
got something.
We all do.
But they're transforming people and giving people a sense of purpose and giving people the ability to tap back into their internal powers. And so that's really all that I do now. I do the same thing, just a different systematic method and a different philosophy and understanding of how I'm trying to get the outcomes for people. But that those things is very necessary that most people would not think about. And the role of the man has been totally diminished. And it's like the father is like, the way that they portray fathers on TV is like they're just buffoons. You know? Go back to Al Bundy. You know? just a buffoon, right? Go to Homer Simpson, right? Black men, we don't need to see that. We need to see characters that are strong, but at the same time can be nurturing, because people think that you can't be strong and nurturing at the same time. And it's just like, what?
Yeah, because like it's like being a good person with somebody soft. If you was a good person, if you was friendly, if you was giving, you know, we live in a community that was predatorial. People were preying on you in any and every form. So if you showed acts of kindness or you have a good heart, first thing they think is, oh, he's soft.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, you know, how do you get to that point, you know, where somebody can't even be kind to you? You know what I'm saying? And you appreciate that.
Because you're on defense. Because that's what it is. You're on defense.
People think there's
about it.
always an angle, or I mean,
and so again, that's an environment we kind of like grew up in, where you know, like, I shouldn't trust everybody, right? Like, and that helps you later on too, though. You know, look at Jay-Z and 50, or the rappers who've made it more to that higher level. They're going into boardrooms with white men. 50 ain't changing his voice. He ain't going there like, well, you know, well, you gonna give me this deal? He going there as 50. Jay-Z going there as Jay-Z, because those conditions, if they can survive those conditions, they like, yo, I'll go out there, like, but they realize that those conditions was nothing compared to corporate America and how much of the sharks they are over in that
absolutely,
in that sector,
absolutely.
right? But again, we're saying all to say about the resiliency. The problem is our situations was too hard. So now you come out and you exhausted before you even get in the game. By the time you get in your adult life, now I'm dealing with anxiety, I'm dealing with depression, I'm dealing with all these different things. Cause you know what? Like, the game didn't smack you in the face, and you didn't have the resiliency, or you were so strong, you were so hard, all it took was one more thing to hit you and break you. You can only be hard for so long.
Did your father, did he teach you about, like, men shouldn't cry, or did he tell you it was okay for men to cry? What are some of the lessons that he taught you younger that still apply to your life today for both your mother and your father?
Okay, first, he's never told me don't cry. I've never heard that, you know, from him. I've never seen him cry in my younger years, I don't believe. But it was never vocalized, don't cry. And I remember crying as a kid, but I don't know. I don't remember being like suffocated. You know, some people are, those emotions are suppressed. Like, stop that.
Yeah.
Why are you crying? Like, no, that
you're
was
a boy. You ain't supposed to cry.
No.
Even if you hurt yourself, don't worry about it. You'll be okay. I just sprained my ankle. You know what I mean? I just fractured my.
And I didn't cry much anyway. But too, I mean, I saw figures like Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan won his first championship, he was over there bawling like a baby. That dude right there, that was my idol. So I saw him doing that. I was cool with it. You know? Now, that don't mean I'm going to go walk down the street crying. And like, when we talk about emotion, right, that don't mean you're supposed to wear your emotion on your sleeve. Right? That don't mean you're supposed to be crying everywhere you go. There's time and place for everything. When you're in the comfort of your own home and it's safe there, that's when you can be emotionally vulnerable. But the problem is when you're emotionally vulnerable and then the parent is squashing that vulnerability. So now you don't know how to express your emotions. So you come out here and anytime you mad, you passive aggressive about everything. You don't even know how to speak.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then people judge you for it. Like I said, you could become emotional for whatever reason it may be, and people will stereotype you and say, "Oh, that guy's soft."
Exactly.
So when you growing up in a residential jungle and then you go to a concrete jungle, all your emotions are always suppressed because to you it's like you just you have to have that rough exterior on you at all times.
And they don't even want the rough exterior. Nobody wants the rough exterior, because if you wanted it, then what you leaving the hood for? What you making the money to leave the hood for? If you want to live like that.
And it's a lot of people who make the money and don't even leave the hood.
Who?
A lot of people.
And they dead.
Yeah,
because that environment, and as you see, all these rappers keep dying because you keep thinking that people like you for being successful. People don't like you for being successful.
Especially when you're in a community of people who are not successful.
Or who are not considered successful. Because this is an idea of what success is. First of all, it's not what my idea of success is? You being able to sleep at night. Like get into deep sleep and wake rested. That's success. You know what that means? Your body repaired itself that night. How are you successful when your body don't even repair itself?
Yeah.
No, you're not in touch with yourself. You're walking dead. You're a zombie. You don't even know who you are.
And that's what society does to you today. It makes you work overtime, 2-3 jobs and hustle. And when you get done with that, there's some more to do. And then everything to fill, you know what I'm saying? And that's just to be able to survive and get by in today's society, And again, you're making a sacrifice. It's at the expense of your own well-being. It's at the expense of your own health sometimes,
That's from hood to billionaires. It don't matter. People will cause their own suffering. I don't care what environment you're in.
I'll tell you what, I'd rather have money problems than broke problems, though. You know what I'm saying? Because
especially if you're taking care of your mental emotional problems first.
Absolutely.
Then those money problems aren't even problems. They're situations, and they're good situations to have. Right? That tax bill, that's a good situation to have. But it's a bad situation if you want to spend your money emotionally on bad purchases. Now you can't pay your taxes. Oh, money more problems? No, you just didn't know how to take care of your real problems.
But nobody's really taught to think about the future. When you come from a community that nobody plans to even be alive tomorrow. I don't even know if I'm going to be alive tomorrow. So whatever I got today, I'm going to live it up for today. When, I was never, educated, to economy, finances. I was never responsible because, I never thought about the future. I never prepared for the future. We didn't value education. The only thing we value was survival, by all means necessary. Only the strong survive. Get it how you live. You know what I mean?
Bro, that sound like the same community. But that's the same narrative of the community. But when you start looking at it, looking at the numbers, that ain't everybody. Just certain people got attached to that because they thought that was their way out of their pain. And once they go down that journey and down that road and they see that the pain is still there when the money came, then it's really misery because you're still suffering internally. And you thought that all these things, whether it was going to be money, cars, women, because really everything we're doing is trying to change how we feel. And
some people become more self-destructive with money.
Oh yeah, because like I told you off camera, people going to only be, that's only going to amplify who you are. Is the money. Vital lottery winners, they go broke after 5 years. Over 50-60% go broke. They lose all the money. It's the same thing when you saw athletes getting money. Now it's a different ball game. My podcast is on Earn Your Leisure's network. Earn Your Leisure is the #1 financial podcast by two black brothers by the name of Troy and Rashad. Them my dudes.
Okay.
I was in Atlanta. It was over 15,000 people there for money, understanding finance. And we're going to do the same thing with, I want to call it mental health, but I'm going to do it the same thing with self-mastery. being able to master yourself, because money is just a part of that self-mastery. The problem is we got it at the top of the pyramid. So you go back and you say, oh, I grew up with 2 parents in a household, right? I had a certain level of safety, but I had a certain level of uncertainty as well. I had a strong dad, I had a strong mom, but they allowed me to fail. They allowed me to fail in safe environments. Sports allows you to fail in a safe environment.
But sometimes a lot of our parents didn't know better either. You know what I'm saying?
No, they don't.
All they were doing was passing on the same ignorance that they grew up with. You know what I mean? Like when I first went to prison and I started learning about all these different religious groups, you know, I had asked my mom, like, Mom, why did you raise me as a Catholic? You know? And because I started doing a little bit of historical research and about where Catholicism came from and this, that, and the other. And them boys, they was brutal. You know what I'm saying? So I asked my mother, and I was like, Mom, why'd you raise me as a Catholic? She was like, I don't know, mijo. You know, my mom and dad raised me as a Catholic. So there was no aim or no real purpose. It was just about, that's what they taught me. This is what I'm teaching you. Whether it's right or wrong, you know what I'm saying? This is what we know.
Right. Well, that goes in talking about a good segue is about programming. And that's the conversation. We talked about my childhood, right? So we're talking about how I was programmed. You're talking about how you were programmed.
Yup, absolutely.
So let's talk to the people. You really understand that, like my mom would say, first step is to understand that you've been programmed. The second step is who programmed you.
Absolutely.
And the third one is, well, what did they program you with? This is the matrix. It's all the matrix. I don't care where you grew up at, how hard your situation was. There was programming that take place, and the only person gonna get you out of that, guess who it is?
You.
Ain't nobody else.
You got to reprogram yourself.
Ain't nobody gonna come in. Did Morpheus pull Neo out of the matrix? He said, "Here's a pill. Here's 2 of them. You choose." I can tell you, but you got to see it for yourself. Which way you want to go, and that's always the hard part, because once you take the red pill, you have to lose victimization. You might have been victimized, and probably some bad things happened to you, but who gonna get you out of it?
Yeah, it's you.
It's you.
I got myself into prison. I had to get myself out. And, you know, I had to think about what kind of person, what kind of man did I want to be coming home? You know, did I want to continuously be, you know, part of the problem? Did I want to be part of the solution? Did I want to be an asset? Or did I want to be a burden to my family? Do I want to continue suffering and putting myself through suffering, you know? Or do I want to live a peaceful life?
At what point did you realize you were creating your own suffering?
I was in the hole, and I had got caught with a knife. They put me in a hole for a couple months. They came by with the library books, and I pulled out a Buddhist book. And one of the things that it talked about is how humans are the number one cause of their own grief through attachment. And how they are attached to everything, whether it's people, places, things, emotions, ideas, you know, opinions, all that type of stuff. People are attached to it and they suffer from it. You know what I'm saying? And I started to realize that so many things that I do, the way I reacted, the way that I conducted myself, you know, I became a puppet. You know, a puppet to the gang, a puppet to, well, she said this and he said that and he called me a bitch, or he said I was soft, so I got to respond this way and that way. And I said, damn, I'm just really a puppet, because anybody could say or do anything to me and control my emotions, control my actions, control my thoughts. And I never wanted to relinquish that kind of power to anybody. I wanted to have, you know what I'm saying, self-control. I wanted to have power. I wanted to have dignity. I wanted to have true pride, you know what I'm saying? And I wanted to have control, you know, over my own life. So I started to do the internal work, doing the research. I said, okay, I got to go all the way back to childhood, you know what I'm saying? Make peace with him and then build myself up. So I got a second chance at life What do I want to do? What is it that I want to reflect? I want peace. I want love. I want unconditional love. I want respect. I want, I want a nice house. I want to live good. I want to be able to trust the people who are around me, So I started changing the conversations, changing the circles of people I was with, changing the activities, changing the music, changing the TV channels. I started watching and being mindful of what I was allowing into my life and pouring into my mind and feeding into my brain. You know what I mean? And I started to rebuild myself with higher standards. And defining what integrity is, what empathy is, what sympathy is, all that type of stuff. And I really started to invest in my own well-being, bro. And I started to really like myself, and I started to really respect myself because I was disciplined enough, focused enough, and educated enough to take that risk and go against, what everybody expected me to be or wanted me to be. Because them brothers didn't want me to lead a gang. They wanted me to stay. Why? Because I was an asset. You know what I'm saying? The streets didn't want me to leave. Why?
Right.
Because I was an asset. I had work. I was a hustler. I didn't change nothing. I still have them same skills. I'm just applying them to a whole different path.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And we've had two different upbringings. And through that description, you was in jail for how long?
17 years.
17 years. I ain't never been fingerprinted. I ain't never been cuffed. Ever.
That's dope.
But guess what? I still had to go down the same journey you had to go through to find my own self. And it don't matter.
Damn, that's crazy.
It don't matter what your situation, your conditions are. If you grew up in a mansion, you still got to do the inner work to get to who you really are, because it's still programming involved that you don't know who you really are.
And what you identify with, and what you are defined by. People, places, and things.
The moment you came through the womb, you start being programmed. And I wanted, and that's that coming out of the matrix where you have to start questioning who you are, and what are your gifts, what are your talents. That's something that I picked up, from one of the mentors who was influential in my life. Is like, he just pointed out, he's like, you're a communicator. I was like, yeah. I felt really good about hearing that. I'm a communicator. And then I started believing that shit, And then I started acting, And he's like, man, you're good. You do this and you do that. So it's just like discovering self. Knowing thyself is like super powerful. But that's not really I won't say that's not publicized, but that's not promoted. It's all this noise takes you away from you. And when this noise takes you away from you, then that's you've given your power over. That's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like people controlling, and we thought we grew up and we were calling things weak when those people who were saying those things were the weak ones.
Absolutely.
You don't have the ability to cry. You're weak. You don't have the ability for emotion to pass through you, because emotion has to come in and out, absorb and eliminate.
To have that liberty, that peace, that confidence.
It's not freedom from emotion. It's freedom of emotion. It's the freedom to express emotion.
Absolutely.
Not the freedom like, because people thought that since they deal, when we talk about Inception at some point, but people thought that since they come in to my facility, or because I do the work that I do, that I'm free of emotions. Like I don't have emotion. Like we're not turning people into robots. The emotion is the life. There's no life without emotion.
No, definitely.
If you could not experience
just
any
what
emotion
emotions?
other than one, that's where depression comes in at.
That's where suicide comes in. Look at people who wake up every day and they're just angry, upset, sad, depressed, frustrated.
Because they're emotionally
Those
constipated.
are the only emotions they can identify with.
Well, that's emotional
not
constipation.
Not love, not nurturing, not joy, not gratitude, happiness, all that type of stuff.
Well, Jason calls it emotional incarceration. I call it emotional constipation. You're blocked. You're blocked mentally, emotionally, and two, you're a zombie. You've been reduced to a human animal, but you're a spirit living in flesh. But that spirit doesn't have real access because of the poor programming and the trauma that you've experienced in your life. You know?
And people are looking for flesh-like solutions to heal internal trauma.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Put that down.
You can't
put that down as a quote.
Yeah.
Say that again. Say that again. What'd you say?
People are looking for flesh-like solutions to heal internal trauma.
That's how it always been.
You can't.
Let me ask you, what do you think branding is about? I think the word branding is. We use the word branding, and for a minute, everybody thought branding was creating a logo or a website. Branding is the emotional connection that you have to a company's product or service. Apple, they did a study with Apple. Apple users, they feel that having an Apple phone and using Apple phone, they feel superior than Android users. Like mentally, emotionally.
Definitely, they do, for real. People look at me, oh, you got an Android, I got an Apple. I'm like, so what does that mean?
But again, look at the conditioning of Apple. And when I'm saying brands, I'm not saying that it's bad or good. I'm not saying it's either. It just is what it is. Branding is a form of programming, right? That's why a documentary like Super Size Me can come out on Netflix and show you all the horrors of McDonald's food. But when I drive down the street, there's a line out down at McDonald's. That didn't change anything. Everybody thought that Nipsey, because this was this conspiracy that, they killed Nipsey because Dr. Sebi was coming out with a documentary that was on expose eating meat and people are going to go vegan and stuff. I said, y'all know how programming works. Just because Dr. Sebi was going to come out with a documentary was going to change nothing. Do you know how much information is out there that's been telling you the right way to go and you still don't do it? They put don't smoke these cigarettes. It cause cancer on a pack of cigarettes. That ain't stopping you from...
People are conditioned to do what's easy and what's familiar, man.
That's the conditioning. That's what people don't understand. That it's the conditioning. That was the Matrix. Dr. Bruce Lipton called the Matrix a documentary. It's not a movie. It's a documentary to understand programming. And that's why when I see people when they do what they do, because I've looked at the brain before on screen and being able to look at images of let's say a digital image of how the brain is responding even after traumatic events. Even if the event happened 20 years ago, the brain is still responding in that because the brain has not found resolution and a way to regulate back to normalcy. Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. That's a verse in the Bible. This is what Jesus said when he was on the cross. That's just a understanding that the programming is so strong that it don't matter, man, if the knowledge is out there. That don't matter. You know how much information right now is at our fingertips and people still stupid?
Yeah.
Why?
Definitely.
Why? Because once you're so enmeshed and so ingrained, once that pattern is so ingrained in your neural pathway, neurons that fire together wire together. The more you fire that pattern, the more that pattern is not just in your brain. That pattern is all throughout your body, and it's through you.
So now that you mentioned all the neutrons and all that,
neutrons,
and all the scientific, terminology that I can't pronounce, man, tell them what Inception is. Break it down for them. Me and my wife went to Farmington Hills. I had to see firsthand. Now we got it at DHDC, and I'm gonna let you take it from there and let them know what it is, what it ain't, what does it do, what's it for, from the red light therapy to the floating thing to the chairs, the copper wires, everything.
Let's do a grand overview of Inception. Inception is the first mental health gym that I created. But first I created a company called Neuro Fitness Center with my dad in 2007. And that was based on my anxiety and panic that I had at that time, and depression and insomnia. And people always ask me, what happened to you? And it's like life. Life happens to you, you know. Go write down. You said earlier you wrote down all the stuff that happened to you. Let everybody go write down everything that happened to you. Don't judge it small or big. Just write it down. I don't care if your sister smacked you in front of your mom and y'all were just playing. If that felt traumatizing to you, then you write it down, right? Go back and look at all that. So all those events that took place, right? Where did that happen? Where did that take place? That took place in your body. So after you experience those events, where are they now? If you did not discharge that out of your body, those traumatic events or those stressful moments, they're still in there. You have a fascial net that runs from your feet all the way to your head. It's the connective tissue that intertwined between every organ in your body. And we know now that it holds emotion. That's stored in you. We say the issues are in the tissues. So when I'm 27, well, my tissues was overfilled. My tissues were overfilled with emotion. And I needed to the point where I started throwing up because they that stuck. You know, I was in a car accident, then I had a bad fall from playing basketball. And now I can look and see the holistic approach and the holistic understanding of the body, that everything that happens to you, again, it's on all different levels. It's not just one level. So as I talk about mental health, I don't talk about mental health just from the mind. People always talk about mental health. They want to think about the mind. Or what am I thinking? What are you breathing? What are you eating?
Yup.
What are you smelling? Like
Gas, pizza.
You can have your mental health could be altered just from you got mold in the basement.
Yeah, damn.
Mold spores. Mm-hmm. So when I took the approach to my health, I took it from starting off, I went down this Western mindset approach of going at the symptoms. I got anxiety. I got panic attacks. I need to get rid of these things, right? Mm-hmm. These symptoms. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. Mm-hmm. But I started my company, Neuro Fitness Center. I use this technology I alluded to, the brain training, the brain maps that I use to look at the brains. And I use this technology out of Scottsdale, Arizona, and I brought that technology back to Michigan. Me and my dad, we worked with clients for about 7-8 years. I kept on my journey. That technology helped me reduce anxiety by over 50% in like one session. You've experienced it. You experienced it. So
I did, and I loved it, and I can't wait to go back again.
So I went through this whole journey, but you know, okay, my anxiety reduces by 50%, but there's still 50% more, right? So what do I do with that? I thought that technology I had was going to cure me because I'm still having this Western understanding and ideas about health. And our understanding about health is totally erroneous because we're after symptoms. Symptoms make for a good financial gain because, man, that's like hacking at every leaf on a tree versus going to the root and just cutting the. That's like what the guy said, I want you to do my leaves, and he came by and picked one up every day. Like when you gonna get to the root of the matter?
Yeah.
We don't go at the roots in our country. We don't go at the root problems.
Everything is just about really getting through the day, man. You know what I'm saying? And people substitute with many different things. Smoking, drinking, pills.
So let's talk
drugs,
about that. Let's talk about that, but let's continue
working,
talking
even
too.
Exercising, people just exercise like crazy. When I was in prison, people were so stressed out, angry, they would just work out. But still, you're not getting to the root of the problem. You're just getting through the day.
You're trying to dissipate energy, and you're trying to regulate your system. Everything I'm talking about, everything that we do at Inception, is just a more resourceful way of doing what you're already doing.
What does red light therapy do?
Why you stuck on red light therapy?
Because
I heard
love
you say
it.
that more.
He's
like red light therapy. I'm like, that's like the least bit of stuff that we use, but
it made me feel good.
Red light therapy.
I felt like a plant. I was up
red
under
light.
there.
It uses a spectrum of light, and that spectrum of light produces a specific hormetic response to your body, where your body will inflammation. It's an inflammation reduction, which is huge. Inflammation is like one of the causes of like damn near all cardiovascular situations. All autoimmune, all that is like inflammatory.
So the instructor, the lady who was working there the day me and my wife went, when we went to the red light therapy, she was like, the more skin that it touches, you know what I'm saying, that the more effective it's gonna be. So
yeah, you can
I was in there in my drawers. I wanted to feel the full impact. You know what I mean?
Well,
and it got the blood flowing everywhere. You hear me? Everywhere.
Well,
I came home. It was like, baby, is you ready? Because the blood is flowing, baby. I said, we gotta do that once a month.
That's nah.
Look, I got my feet. Look, I'm over here with my feet.
He
like,
kicking his feet. Now I'm like, why you keep going to red light therapy? Oh, now I know. Okay.
I'm just saying it was good for me.
Just so you know, if you shine it on your balls and your testicles, it does increase testosterone.
Shine away, baby. Shine away.
So I got one at my house.
I like to meet my maximum potential.
So going back to like using these therapies, we're trying to offset what's happening to us in our environments.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go look at how the America is set up and how we use consumerism, we use consumerism as a way to try to solve our mental emotional issues.
Mm-hmm.
Poorly bad way of doing it, because if you have one drink, the next day your nervous system is going to be back out of balance, and guess what, you're going to go try to use it again, and then it has a diminishing return.
Mm-hmm. Like people say, you got a hangover, just drink another beer.
So the diminished return of you trying to deal with your anxiety, or you just trying to deal with your depression, but you eating it, sexing it, purchasing it, whatever way that you're trying to modulate your system,
mm-hmm.
it has a diminished return to it, because you're not getting to the root issue. Mm-hmm. So the root issue that we talk about is the trauma. So Inception, our mental health gym, we use these tools and technologies to help the system to support the brain and the body to move out of these states of stress and trauma.
How much progress have you seen since we've been running Inception out of the DHTC for our youth?
Just the times I've been there, I've seen kids come in there and they walk out of there and they're totally changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're totally changed, because what changed though? Did we change them? Did we alter their behavior? Like because people don't have an idea. They think we're some like Frankenstein, and we're not doing anything to you. Your body is being put in an environment that's conducive towards peace.
Okay.
And safety. And the body naturally starts, oh, that red light. Okay. Oh, we can relax. Oh, the brain training is giving you a mirror, the opportunity to observe itself, the opportunity to change itself, the opportunity to say, hey, El Niño, you can relax. And your system's like, and you're like, I can relax. And then you start to relax. And then the magnetic therapy that we use, same thing. It's dealing with the vagus nerve, which has to do with, again, that autonomic nervous system, what goes into these stress response states, fight, flight, freeze. It's all, I call it the protection algorithm program. Your protection algorithm program is running. Mm-hmm. And when it's running, you're losing your resources, your ability to focus and concentrate, your ability to digest, your ability to fight off threats because your immune system is shut down. This is all driving you to run and get away from threat. Mm-hmm. But if that's still active, even remotely a little bit after you've escaped the threat or stressors, all your resources are gone. Mm-hmm. So I'm telling people, you lost your power. You said that earlier. You lost power.
Absolutely. I relinquished it.
You relinquished
to so many different components of life, you know.
You can put them all in one box. Mm-hmm. It's threat. I'm fighting threat. Well, how much threat can you fight before you break down? It's like how much load can we put on this table in the middle of it before it breaks? How much stress can we add to it before it breaks?
Till you become a threat yourself. You know, like they say, hurt people. And victims become victimizers.
Trauma begets trauma.
Yep.
Right. It's a cycle. So the best thing to do is to start to approach these things from a more efficient and effective manner, and saying, well, instead of having that drink, because the drink is recreational. The problem is when you made the drink primary, like your primary source of being able to, of your strategy to deal with suffering. It's a poor strategy.
And people drink when they're happy. People drink when they're sad. You know, people turn to that for all kinds of alterations. You know what I'm saying? If you need to drink to celebrate, you know, or you need to drink to grieve, you know what I'm saying? Then,
well, it's interwoven between the fabric of society. Our mental health or mental illness, because I believe we collectively live in a mentally ill society. We do. There's a guy shooting people walking down the street the other day.
yeah, I remember. Shot what? Killed 3-4 people?
Yeah, just walking down the street, just shooting people, right? Like it's crazy stuff happening all the time. You know what I'm saying?
And it's just people being so disconnected to
Because you're
just
disconnected.
humanity. You know?
So that's what we do. Rehumanitized. But you got to get back connected back to the earth.
Yeah, definitely.
You literally got to get back connected to the earth. And I mean like literally.
All the elements.
Yeah,
You know,
no, for sure.
Water, wind, fire, high, low, you know what
All
I'm
of
saying?
it.
All that good stuff, man. That's therapy for me, bro. I always go by a mass amount of water, you know what I'm saying? And I just let it replenish me. I let it cleanse me, you know what I'm saying? Like I always feel so much better when I'm around a large mass of water, bro. I feel like I'm being nurtured by the earth, you know?
Because you live in the earth and not on it.
That's right.
We are living in a breathing entity. We know the earth is that now. It's a living entity, and every material you see in this room all came from the earth.
Definitely.
But
No doubt about it.
but if you are self-destructive to yourself, you think you give a shit about the earth?
No, definitely.
Why would
not.
you if you don't care about yourself?
Absolutely.
That's why you drive down the street, throw something on the grass. You don't care.
And that's why I don't mess with people who don't care, because I care. And that's a pet peeve of mine. I cannot stand people who litter. You know, I'm like, man, that's Mother Earth, man. How can you disrespect? Do you throw that stuff in your house, you know?
So think about the plastics. They say that we're consuming the size of a credit card amount of plastic per week now.
Wow.
That's in the foods, that's in the water, that's in what you're putting on your body. So how does that affect you? So synthetic estrogen. Now when it was something on TV some years ago. I can't remember. It's NBC. You can pull it up. Just Google male fish turning female from this lake. They were pumping all these pharmaceutical drugs and dyes and plastics in it, and the male fish start turning female.
Wow, that's crazy.
Synthetic estrogen, bro.
I never even heard nothing like that.
Men's
before.
testosterone has been dipping year after year for the last 50 years. See, we talking about mental health. What are we really talking about? We talking about everything that's in the environment that we live in that causes us to be sick, that doesn't allow us to be in our right state of mind.
Yeah,
right?
I believe it.
And if you focus,
It's all part of somebody's master plan.
and if you get focused on going down a yellow brick road and you're looking for these people to guide you to go to the great and powerful Oz, and you look behind that curtain, you see the great and powerful Oz was not great and powerful, because guess what? All this stuff is an illusion to guide you and take you away from yourself.
Absolutely.
When Dorothy on the Wizard of Oz, and if you go look at the Wiz, we had the black version, it was called the Wiz, if you don't know.
Yeah, I remember.
that was a joint. That movie scared me when I was a
when
kid,
Michael
but-
Jackson
yeah,
played
Michael
it.
Jackson, the
Yeah,
Scarecrow.
yeah.
But the answer was on your feet. Getting your bare feet back to the earth. Now I don't mean on your feet just because, okay, that's your feet, but yeah, partially is your feet. But your feet is connected to your
Being
body.
grounded.
Meaning is you. You have the ability. Use a pharmacy. Your body is a pharmacy. It creates all of your emotions. How you think those emotions take place when you was on a roller coaster? The roller coaster did not create the emotion. The roller coaster was the stimulus. Your body responded that way, and your perception of being on a roller coaster responded that way. So if you can get to the place of self-mastery when you can sit down and you can close your eyes and you can begin creating whatever emotion that you want in your body, then none of this really even matters. See, when we look at the Buddhists, you talked about the Buddhists. Go over there and watch the Buddhists, and they meditate all day. And you think, man, how can they live a life like that? They don't watch no TV. They just sitting down, meditating all day. It looks so boring, but you can't see underneath the surface. And you don't know, in their mind, they probably blissed out.
I wonder how Jeffrey Dahmer meditated. For real. Somebody who was crazy as him. I wonder how he meditated.
He meditated?
I don't know.
Oh. So the thing is, that's what's happening in our eternal worlds. Like, you could see somebody who has a house that's maybe 2 bedrooms, maybe don't have much as what people think they should have, and you think, well, that's no life, but you don't see what's happening underneath the surface. You don't see the joy. You don't see the gratitude. You don't see the happiness. And then, too, you don't see the other side when they do experience the emotions, and maybe they have an emotional intelligence to be able to process them. So that life for them, it can be seen mundane, but they're very fulfilled in it. But because you've been conditioned about the external world and who wants to be a millionaire and who wants to be a billionaire, because it's all just ways of celebrating mental illness, because that's just hoarding.
Yeah.
Right? So when you can live again from leaving that external reality and living internally, then you can go and have that external reality, but you have it from the inside out. We got it the other way around. We trying to be somebody from the outside in versus the inside out.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what Inception has to do. Inception allows you to remove the blocks. It doesn't happen overnight because you've had a lot of blocks in your life, but you got to start removing them. But once you start getting a little bit of space, and once you start getting that little bit of space, and all of a sudden somewhere, you dodge bullets here and there. But I'm not saying real bullets. I'm saying you're dodging life situations. You're not allowing them to affect you no more because they don't have the power over you anymore.
Like I said, man, small thing to a giant. I walk this earth like a giant, a mental giant, an emotional giant, a spiritual giant, all that, bro. You know what I'm saying? And, a lot of that came from suffering. A lot of it came from loss. But at the end, it educated me. I have a clear understanding of who I am, where I'm at, where I belong. Living purpose-driven, living, motivated by redemption. And, every day I start out with gratitude, bro. And I've never been at peace like I am today in my life. I've never loved or been so proud of myself as I am today, bro. You know what I'm saying?
And you would think that everybody would want that, right? And everybody does want that. Again, everybody just have different strategies.
You got to put in the work, man.
You need better strategies to get to yourself.
Yeah. Listen, Dave, let them know where they can find you at, man.
InceptionEP.com, Facebook, Mr. David McCullough, Instagram, Mr. David McCullough, YouTube, Mr. David McCullough.
Man, tap in with David McCullough, man. He'll get you together, man.
Absolutely. Definitely
brilliant brother, man. You got a lot to share, a lot to offer. Tap in with him, man. And I appreciate you blessing the studio. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
With your knowledge, man, and breaking bread with the viewers, man. But I'm going to get my man B.Y. to come over here, man, and speak and talk about a couple things that he got going on. Brother, I appreciate you, and I look forward to building with you in the future, man.
Peace.
My man. What's going on, brother? My man.
Look right here.
Yeah, you could bring that in a little bit.
What's going on, everybody? We good? Can you hear me? We good? All right.
Yeah. BY, we got an event going on at the DHTC.
Yes, sir.
October 23rd. Let them know what it is.
Yeah.
What's popping? What motivated you? What to expect?
So we throwing together a barber expo for South Detroit. We just want to show our talents, for our side. I feel like it's a lot of talent in the Southwest that goes unnoticed, you know what I mean? From, cutting hair, from singing, to putting together like programs, like youth programs. It is so much talent, and not discluding, or discrediting any side, because, we got the East, the West. But I just feel like Southwest, we got so much to offer.
We
And
definitely do,
yeah.
bro. We got a lot of talent in many
do.
different
Amen.
forms.
And
And I think it's great, bro,
Yeah.
that you're throwing this event in Southwest. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
who are some of the barbers that are going to be a part of this?
So I came together with 4 guys, you know, that I 3 other guys that I look up to, you know, in the barber game, you know, AB the barber, Dorian, that was like my mentor, and Sanchez, you know. So I came together with them, you know, to figure that we can come together and put some positive community. And, you know, because of you is the reason why, you know, we going to the DHDC building. And I definitely want to give a shout out to the DHDC building, 1211 Trumbull. They doing a great job in the community, man. We got Eladio as a sponsor. King Midas, he's the one that makes all the capes for the for like the barbers and everything, man. So we got him as a sponsor.
Oh, that's dope, bro. That's sweet.
Yeah, so
and listen, bro, you are one of the coldest barbers, bro.
I wish.
For real, man. Shout out to my dog Jimmy,
wish.
man. But I tell you what, man, I go get cut by BY. I feel pampered. You know, I get the little sprays, the little everything. I be like the little chalk, the everything. I be like,
I appreciate you, man.
You know, that's
appreciate
how you want to feel, man. You know what I mean?
It's definitely important. That's why I felt like it was important to bring them to our side. It's kind of like a welcome to our side for everybody that's coming, you know, to the Barber Expo. We got so much talent. Like we gonna have on the vendors. We gonna have shout out my guy Dre Sneak Heat 2020 on Instagram.
Dre, what up, boy?
Southwest Freddy. We got performances. We got good judges too from the other side. We got No Cut No Bud from Juice Barbershop, Cash the Barber, Hamoudi A-Rab Barber. We got even Pinky the Barber, like the OG from Southwest Styles. I got
man, what's up with my dog Mark Fader from Classics, man? You gotta
Mark
get
Fader,
in, man.
Everybody at Classics, Sammy, Javi.
Big Javi.
Yeah, man. We got the great rookies coming up. We got 4 different battles from the categories. We got Rookie of the Year featuring like Lil Morales Blends. My buddy Cam the Barber, Loaded Twine, female barbers from With the Barber, Tia the Barber, Melly.
So there's different categories that are
man.
okay. That's
we got
sweet.
some hitters, you know, like even my buddy Raul. He's actually helping with the flyers. He's gonna be in the freestyle battle and the tag team battle. Man, we just got so much talent, you know.
And then we got Rico Waves. He gonna be performing.
Rico Waves. I cut his hair. That's my brother. You know.
Yeah, Rico my man.
My
very talented.
Man, we got so much talent everywhere, man. And like, I'm just excited to bring our side and welcome. You know, we gonna have the food vendors. You know, the taco trucks. You know, that's like a staple in Southwest. You know what I mean? Like,
how can they tap in with you if they want to participate or be a part of it?
So if you want to tap in and participate, you know, you can go to my Instagram, BYCutIt. I'll inbox you all the details. You know, it's October 23rd, so the spots are limited. It's going pretty quick, but it's going down October 23rd, 1211 Trumbull, DHDC building. And we ready to make history, man.
My man, I can't
Appreciate
wait.
you,
Looking
man.
forward to
Appreciate
it.
you, man.
Man, thank you everybody for all the love, for you know, for tuning in, for tapping in, for viewing, for sharing, for commenting. Thank you. I appreciate you. We're gonna get this brother back on the show.
Yes, sir.
And you know, so he can share his story, and then
Yes,
we'll
sir.
share, you know, all the progress that we've made, and you know, everything from all the events and all that good stuff. But you know, stay tapped in, stay in touch, man. We got a lot of positive things
sir.
going on, man. You know, pop at us. Shout out to the Ceasefire team.
Yep.
Always putting in work. DHDC always
Yes,
pouring
sir.
into the community, man. Come see us, man.
Yes,
We a
sir.
product of this.
Appreciate you.
Much
Eladio.
love to you.